What is going on, everybody? Today we're going to talk. Hang on, I need another one. Today we're going to talk knowledge. How much do you know about something, and how much is necessary to know about something? I actually got a really good comment yesterday, or day before yesterday. Actually, I think I'm just now getting to it. On our video about how we make the best B90s in the world, and Skyhop brings up a point, and it's. I don't know if it's a criticism of the video. I don't know if it's just a curiosity. I'm not sure, but I really value his comment, and so I thought we would talk about it. He said, "I think if it wasn't for secret pickup winder tricks, which is understandable, otherwise you wouldn't have a business, folks would be more interested in what actually matters in a pickup. But since nobody can really advertise or explain those things, it leaves the consumer with a knowledge gap." So, here's the question. How many details are necessary? I love this comment because he's like, but you're not teaching. And we get this quite a bit. I don't know why you don't, in the more negative side of it, I don't know why you don't share those specifications, etc. The printer's going to be a little clunky today. It's printing something extremely important. It is a rubber ducky themed piggy bank for my grandson, and it's got to change colors a bunch, so that's what you're hearing. Okay. Hashtag bamboo H2C, link in the description. Okay. So, back to this. What if I did show you everything? What if I showed you every winding pattern? What if I showed you every machine setting? What if we showed you exact tension numbers? Where we got all of our parts from, which I would not do. Every tolerance, like what our mins and maxes for stuff are. Every tiny, production decision that goes into making pickups. Would you make a better buying decision, or would you be just more confused? You'd be more confused, and we're going to talk about why. I think one of the things that we get confused by, I think it's because of YouTube, really, to be honest with you. I think it's, is that the difference between knowledge and understanding. Actually, I was going to look this up, so I'm just going to do it now because knowledge, or actually, let's go backwards. Data. Let's talk about data, actually. Data is a collection of raw facts, figures, and observations or measurements, okay, which is what you would want. Knowledge is the confident understanding, awareness, or familiarity with a subject, fact, or a skill. So you could get confidence from knowing the facts about a thing. I get that. Understanding, though, is one step above that. A cognitive and psychological process of comprehending information, grasping meanings, and applying concepts. It spans multiple facets of human experience, knowledge, acquisition, emotional empathy. That's an interesting part of this. Interpersonal relationships and informal agreements. So the idea here is that sometimes we think data is going to automatically give us understanding. It does not. And sometimes the most knowledgeable people, okay, so let's say this. Sometimes we think that data is going to give us more understanding, like the more specs we know. Is that going to make us a better consumer? Most of the time it's not. Is it going to make it easier for us to make a decision? Most of the time it won't. Well, if I have all these facts, then I can make a better decision. The problem is that the more facts you have, a lot of times, the less capable you are of actually making a decision because of option paralysis. And again, I think this is because of YouTube, because of the internet. It used to be, back in my day, not really. Maybe. I guess I'm before the internet also. That you played a guitar and you liked it or you didn't. And you bought it because it was a cool color and you because it was the brand that it was, and it was Fender and Gibson. In my day, there was Fender and Gibson and Kramer and PC Rich, and there was like 10 brands that everybody kind of knew, right? We didn't care about magnet types, resistance, capacitor values, pot tolerances, net construction. I think I still cared where the guitar was made. I didn't care, honestly, about wood species. Didn't care. All those things, all those little tiny specs. And in the pickup specific business, capacitance, inductance, I didn't care about resistance. I didn't care about any of that stuff. But the internet has created an environment where every customer feels like they need to become some sort of expert before making a purchase. Otherwise, they're going to make the wrong purchase. Problem is that when you learn about something, the deeper you go on a subject, the more complicated everything becomes because there's more details, right? And the reason for that is because everything affects everything else. Every decision affects another decision. If you change the magnet, that changes everything. And now you have to look at your wind count. You have to look at your wind diameter, or your wire diameter. You have to look at the thickness of the insulation on the wire. You have to look at the capacitance of the resistance on the wire. If you change the wind count, it doesn't always matter if you don't change the height of the pickup, the center diameter of the magnets, but then that changes the magnetism. Okay. Where do we stop here? That's why I kind of laugh when people say, what's the best magnet for this? Yesterday, somebody commented, what about Alnico 4s in your P90s? And I just said, my answer was, nah, it's fine. Cool. You do it if you want. I'm not going to do it because they're not my pickups. That's not my pickup. My pickup is an Alnico 5. I'm not going to put 4s in it. I don't think I'm not a fan of it. It's just kind of meh to me. There isn't one best of everything. Everything is a trade-off, and the design, it's honestly builder's choice, right? I decided how I wanted to make my products, and therefore here they are, and I'm going to share them with you. The problem is that if I give you too many specs, there's two things that are going to happen. Everything interacts with each other, and there's context surrounding each decision made, right? So I have everything I've ever designed sort of plotted out. And so if you tell me I want something this or that, I know where to do it kind of on my plot because I've built this one, I've built this. So let's say I've built this one and I've built this one. Well, you want to hit the middle? Okay, well then let's just do the middle of those things. But that might be changing 3 or 4 things about a pickup. So for example, in your brain, you're going, well, 10,000 winds is too hot. 9,000 winds is not hot enough. 9,500 is where it's at. Well, that's not the case because the magnet matters, the strength of there's all kinds of stuff that matter. So you can't just make one change. I mean, you can, but it's not often effective. The reason we don't tell you everything is because all that information would not help you. It's not because I don't want to tell you. I mean, I don't. Some of that stuff is, kind of our thing. But I believe that it would hurt you if we put all those various tiny, tiny, tiny specs on a website. If we put every machine setting, every production tolerance, every process variation, everything that we keep track of, but don't tell you about, would you make a better purchasing decision? You would not. You would have more information, but you would have less clarity about what you're looking for and about the goal of the product. My job as a designer is not to is not just to create a product, right? In my situation. Now, in big companies, we always joke about the engineering person doesn't talk to the marketing person, and the marketing person or the engineering person doesn't talk to the finance department. So, when we say the thing is designed by committee, it's because they've got to put all this stuff together, right? And when you have and think about this. When the engineering department and the styling department don't get along, that's a problem. When the engineering department and the finance department don't get along, My wife has a hard time sometimes with her job when the engineering and programming department doesn't talk to marketing. So then marketing is expected to sell something that may or may not work yet, right? Like, or may not be completely fleshed out. And all the details might not be totally figured out and simplified to a point where they can actually now share that with somebody else. Good designers and smaller companies like me, I have to do all of it. So I have to design the product, I have to make the product, I have to market the product, and I actually have to follow the finances of the product to make sure that we stay financially viable, right? So we have a lot of information. I have a lot of information at my fingertips that is not relevant to you and would just continue to create confusion. Because here's the thing. Consumers don't actually want the information itself. They want certainty. Everybody says they want transparency, they want to see everything, and they want to know all the details, and they want to know everything. But what they really want is they want certainty. They want to be guaranteed that when they make this purchase choice, that it's going to be right for them. Okay. The problem is that more information provides more uncertainty, because usually here's what happens. If you have two choices and I say, look, these are your options, these are two options, and the specification is this and the specification is this. And in order to make a good decision, you need to know these 5 things and 10 things on this decision to make your good decision. So then you pick the thing with 5 things, but then you're sitting there doubting whether you should have picked the other thing because you're just completely overloaded with information. Every answer creates another rabbit hole that you need to go down and learn another thing. Eventually, you don't make the decision. You might purchase it, and sometimes, as a result, you may regret a purchase that you would not otherwise regretted if you had just almost bought it on an impulse with no research whatsoever. I've done that. I've bought something that I over researched and was like, man, I don't know if and then you just doubt yourself whether you like the thing or not. That's not cool, man. The other part of the problem is with this, and I'm going to take a sip of my coffee when I say it, because people have a hard time admitting this, is consumers on the internet, especially of guitar stuff, have a serious humility problem. There is an air that goes around in the comment sections of places. And it's basically just, I'm more right than you about this little specification, whether it's a capacitor choice, whether it's a 250s go with single coils and 500s go with blah, blah, blah. I had somebody yesterday, and he wasn't ugly about it. I said, you know what I would do? He said, I want to put P90s in my Telecaster. It's routed. I could do it. What pots should I get? And I said, I'd put 500s in it. He's like, 500s in a Telecaster? 500s don't go in a Telecaster. And I'm like, well, back up for a second. I'm like, it's not really so much in this case about, and this is exactly how I said, it's not so much in this case about the guitar shape or the guitar type. It's about the pickup choice. And actually, this works really well if you've not tried it. I don't want to feel like he thought he's wrong, but I don't believe that he was lacking humility in his misunderstanding. He actually purchased that combination, and I bet he will be super happy with it. But a lot of times, you've seen the comment sections. People fight over the dumbest things, and it is a lack of humility. At some point, every purchase requires some sort of trust, and it takes humility to admit that. If you think you know more than me about pickups, you don't. People will say, and I'm going to get into this a little bit because this bugs the crap out of me. This is the one thing that bugs the crap out of me. And I think it's because I don't do it to other people. And so it's super annoying is there are self-proclaimed experts, comment section experts who have watched a video for 10 minutes and think they know everything about everything. And they are also convinced that there are no other experts but them. And so when I say, this is something you could try and it would actually work, well, you're just a YouTube guy, and you're on YouTube, so automatically you're wrong. Uh, okay, okay, that's okay. Um, that's annoying, and it's not annoying for me in the sense that I take offense at that because I don't. I think it's funny. What I don't like though, and I think one of the reasons I react to those comments sometimes, and I'll sort of set a person straight, is not because I want to be righter than them, even if I am. It's because there are other people in the comment section who have actual legitimate questions. And I don't want that person to all of a sudden, because here's what happens. That a person like that will literally hijack a comment thread, and then they will get a tribe behind them surrounding an incorrect thing. So I just want to make sure that I interject. So it's not that I always want to prove that I'm right, but what I want to do is I do want to interject. Like if this is wrong and this is right, here, this is what's been proven. This is the thing, blah, blah. Not for that guy. I don't care about fighting with that guy. Just that guy or whatever. He's not going to buy from me anyways. It doesn't matter. But for everybody else who's in the comments, who's like, I'm trying to learn here, man. That's who I'm thinking about actually. Because at some point you have to trust a purchase. You trust doctors. Some people do. You trust a mechanic at some point. When I drop my car off at the Audi dealership to have an oil change, my car doesn't even have a dipstick. I got to trust that they put the right amount of oil in it. I have an app, but whatever. Pilots, right? You fly around in an airplane. You trust those folks when you buy when you purchase a plane ticket. You trust that the plane's going to be there. Doesn't always happen, but it's pretty close most of the time. You trust an electrician because he comes to your house and doesn't burn your house down. You trust engineers every single day without even thinking about it, without knowing anything about anything. Why? Because life's too complicated to verify everything that we do. And pickups, while they are on the simpler side of the basics of electronics, there is a lot to them. And everything is sort of a push-pull. When you change something, it changes something over here. It's all interactive. And so it's a thing. So my question is this: how do you know who to trust? Instead of kind of thinking about this positively, how do you know who to trust? Instead of worrying about every little detail, because if I don't know it myself, I feel like I'm going to get ripped off, because that's kind of what happens. I'm not saying trust everybody. In fact, I think you should be very careful about that. I'm expecting a toolbox. Okay, not yet. Well, let's think about it. The real skill is in actually learning who to trust, right? I'm going to tell you how I do it. I'm not going to tell you how to do it. This is a personal thing to you. Here's how I do it. I look at track record. Okay? This is with anything. Reliability of an object, right? Serviceability of the company, etc. But if I'm going to purchase, let's say I'm going to purchase a guitar, okay? Let's take, for example, I will use Texas Toast guitars again, because a lot of people have a hard time trusting a small guitar builder. Okay, so what am I going to look at before I spend $2,000 with Texas Toast? Have they consistently produced good results over time? Absolutely. Not just one product, not just one video, but years and years of results. They've been in business for, they've been actually having a production model of a guitar, I think, for over 10 years now, which in this business, that's a long time. So they've got years of good results. Do they have a clear design philosophy, or are they just going from copy to copy to copy, or are they ripping other people off, or etc.? No. Does their opinion change with every trend that comes along? No, I don't think so. I think he's fairly, he doesn't like relics. He likes a certain kind of finish. They're pretty consistent about their design choices, which I appreciate. When something goes wrong, will they fix it? Yes. Um, will they ghost me? No. And they won't ghost you either. He's my friend, so he won't ghost me, but I know he won't ghost you either. What do long-term customers say? Right? Well, you go in any. He's got a Facebook group. I've got they're all over the place. Anybody who's got one of his guitars says it's awesome. And we're talking long-term here, not just like 2 weeks after the product comes out, but years down the road, right? You don't see tons of them on Reverb. There's a couple every now and then, but you don't see them in resale, which means people are keeping them. That's pretty cool. They don't use influencer hype and hotties on Instagram to sell their guitars. They actually do it kind of the old-fashioned way a little bit too much sometimes, but they do it right. And they live with the product. They play the product. He plays his own guitar in a band, and so does Chris. So. That's the kind of thing I look for, and that's the kind of thing that I try to get out with my company is the same, those kind of same criteria. And I don't care what wood he uses. I don't care. Okay, yeah, it'd be nice to know what radius he's got and stuff. But I don't care how hard his frets are. I don't care. There's lots of little stupid things I don't care about. What's your neck pocket? How long is your tenon on your neck? Dude, I don't care. It's not going to break off. It sounds awesome, and it's not going to break off. That's all I need to know. If he was going to sell me a guitar that was going to break off, he wouldn't sell it. If it didn't sound good, he wouldn't sell it. That's one of the things I think about, too, is a well-established company who has good products. You can trust them in the fact that they like to stay in business. Therefore, they're not going to intentionally make a bad product, right? A lot of players, though, feel that this is sort of like... I'm going to get scammed. I'm going to get scammed. Brand trust is real. I always talk about this, and people continue to buck against it. And this is something where I'm going to tell you you're wrong. Brand recognition and when you pay for a brand, it's important because the trust that goes with that brand, that can be ruined, i.e. Fender, is earned, right? They're making thousands and thousands and thousands of decisions. Not Fender. Every company is making thousands of decisions every day before you even ever buy the product. When somebody buys a set of pickups from us, they are looking at months of work. They are looking and they are trusting us to make the decision to make sure that it's right. Right? They value the expertise. I am not a person who gets on the internet and says, I am an expert about this, because I don't like that vibe. I know that other people will call me one. It's not my thing. I don't like it. But to be fair, I know more than 99.9% of the people in the comment section about pickups. I just do, because I've been doing it for 13 years every day. This is what I do. And one of the things I think about when I think about this is I trust you. Okay. There are often times when I have a question about something that I don't know about, because I stay in my lane when it comes to this stuff. I'm having a watch built right now, actually. I'm having it made by a guy in California, I think, that was recommended by another YouTube channel that I trust. And I looked at buying all of because Dastardly Dave builds his own watches. And I looked at buying all of my own parts and all of my own tools and doing it because I could probably pull it off. It'd probably be kind of fun. Maybe I will at some point in the future. No, if it's $200 in labor to have him put the thing together, he's the expert. I trust him. It will come out awesome. If I need a lawyer, I'm not going to become a lawyer. I'm not going to become a comment section lawyer. I'm not going to become a comment section electrician. I'm not going to become a comment section bridge engineer before I drive over the bridge on the way to town. I'm not going to become a comment section anything expert. I'm going to call you. And there's been times when I've done that. Hey, guys, anybody in the comment section actually an expert on this? Because I want to ask them a question about something. I don't know. For the people that get in the comments and challenge creators on this, ask yourself, are you good at what you do? It could be delivering pizza. It could be selling insurance. It could be making bowling pins. I don't know. But you're good at what you do, probably. And so if I need that, I will call you. I will not question your ability to make a quality bowling pin because I know nothing about it, right? And I'm not going to get in a how to make bowling pins video on YouTube and then get in the comments section and then go over to your website and be like, hey, bro, you're doing it wrong because I saw this in the video, right? That's dumb. That sounds dumb. So why do we do that to each other with guitar stuff? And I'm not talking about to me. I'm actually kind of talking about everybody else doing it to each other in the comments. Worst case scenario, somebody will disagree with what I do and not buy my pickups. And that's totally fine. I have no problem with that. Because, we're not for everybody. And, that's part of life. So these are all the reasons and the psychology surrounding the fact that we don't tell you all the details. I don't think there's any reason for us to do it. You could say, well, but I'm trying to make a comparison. But you can't. Because everything changes. So there's no way to compare. So what do? You get in the chat on my website and you go, hey, this is the guitar I got. This is the rig I'm playing. This is the kind of music I got. This is the problem that I have. This is the thing I'm trying to solve. Do you have something? I've been thinking, this happened to me this morning. Somebody said, hey, I've been thinking about putting an Enduro. He's like, I need to know more details. Exactly this. I need to know more details about your Quattro and your Super 8, and I need to see side-by-side demo videos. Well, we don't have a side-by-side demo video of that. And I was like, what are you looking to do? And he's like, I would like to pair it with an Enduro. Okay, well, that's an easy choice. Definitely the Super 8. The Enduro is going to be too much. Oh, okay. Sounds good. Thank you. He trusted me on that because I know what I'm talking about, and he bought them. We didn't need to make a video. That was an easy one. So comparison even doesn't justify all that. Anyway, there you go. Thoughts for the day.